caliper brake that I'm going to be doing right now. There are other cable actuated disc brakes that require different kinds of mountings. I don't know if they're all exactly the same. They are different, and I don't know if this is going to translate to all of those, but some of the principles might translate. It just depends. These brakes specifically have a static piston, which is a static brake pad, basically, because they are pistons, but kind of not really, because it's not hydraulic. I don't know exactly what to call them, so I'm just going to call them brake pads. So you have a static brake pad on the inboard, right? And you have a dynamic brake pad on the outboard, basically. The dynamic brake pad, excuse me, is actuated by this lever over here. This is what moves the dynamic brake pad on the outboard of the caliper. The static brake pad is actuated by this, silver disc. I'm just going to call it the silver disc. You got to take your 5 Allen key, 5 hex Allen, whatever you want to call it, get it in there, and you can twist this in and out. That clicking you're hearing is a small, tiny ball bearing inside the caliper being pressed up against this silver disc into those little slots there, and there's a spring behind it. So that click is the ball bearing dropping into those little slots. I'll open this up a little more so you can see those little slots. See those little slots? See the little slots in there? That ball bearing is dropping into that to kind of stop it. So it's on a threaded plane, I guess is what you would call. So this threads in and out, and it gets stopped by that ball bearing, which is held in by, or pushing against this threaded plane by a spring, right? You don't want to screw this too far out because you'll break it. So what I like to do when I'm doing this kind of system is I'll actually dial the barrel adjuster out a tiny bit, like 3 or 4 turns. And I don't mind you dialing the barrel adjuster out this far because you still have a whole lot of the barrel adjuster in the arm, right? The reason I want you to dial barrel adjusters in all the time is so you have threads inside the arm, right? On barrel adjusters like this, for instance, the arm is much smaller and the threads are much smaller. So if you dial it out too far, you're not going to have any threads in there. It's going to break and then you got real troubles, right? So for this one, since there's so many threads and it's so long, you can use this barrel adjuster as your adjustment and like your fine-tune adjustment at the end of everything. And I'll get back to that in a minute. So what I like to do on this, and I don't know if I've ever taught or been taught this really. I guess I've been taught many different ways by several people that never really worked for me, and then I kind of figured it out on my own. So I will loosen, and it's really hard to do. So for instance, this tool isn't going to work very well because it's inside the rear triangle. Do you have those small ones? There they are. I got some ones. And of course the 5 is gone. So put your tools back, because trying to find the damn tools after you can't find them is really, really frustrating. Look at